Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Watch Your Realms video. So this is the last testing video that we're doing, and it's gonna be for a new fighter which people are not expecting for his role to be what he's doing. So it's Kane. It's a Arbiter Northerner fighter, and what he basically specializes in is cost generation. So at first, when I saw Supreme Arbiters getting an extra unit here, I thought the Arbiter lot was coming because people have been talking about that for the longest time. And yeah, it got me excited, but then I saw this guy and then it's a lizard. And we all know that lizards are freaking terrible at this game. And yeah, what he basically specializes in is actually cost regen. So he has some AoE attack as well, but the main concern with this is actually his base stats. So let's start off with that. 15k HP, 3.5k attack almost. It's nothing too crazy, but I think given the fact that he's a cost generator, I wouldn't think too much of it. I would think that it's okay. He is also from Arbiter and Northerner, so it's probably an ancient exclusive unit, which makes me feel like, do we really want to be pulling him on an ancient banner? Because it doesn't look that impressive, at least for now. So talent, when deployed, gains 4 stacks of Shard of Deception. What does that do? Increases basic attributes by 10%, and each ultimate cast reduces Shard of Deception by 1 stack. It's basically diminishing returns. The longer he stays on the battle, the less damage that he does. And after 10 seconds of being on the battle, he restores 7 costs. If it's in a Lord faction, which is Arbiter or Northerner, he restores 3 costs. Then afterwards, the cost regen will trigger 1 time every 20 seconds, which, when we look in comparison with the other folks, which is Cyrene and Darlin, let's just have a comparison here, right? So Darlin is 15 cost regeneration every 25 seconds. So this is slightly higher. And then we have Cyrene, which is bound to her ultimate. There we go. That's gonna be. Is there a. No, it's just 12 costs. And it's at 680 costs, which is not too bad. But I think the main thing to consider here is that both Cyrene and Darlin are actually lower in terms of base stats compared to him. And he does have some utility, which we'll take a look at later in a bit. But yeah, I think that basically sums it up, right? That's why people have been asking for a legendary cost regenerator for the longest time, because we're hoping that stats-wise they'll be better, they have better utility, they have talent and all that. So yeah, that's basically the reason. And Kane, the problem I have is that currently the cost generators, or rather cost generators that we used to have, are gonna be in Arena. But in almost every aspect of Arena at the moment, we literally do not need a cost generator anymore. I mean, we have Valara in the mix, but 12 costs, same cost as Kane at the base level. So this is Awakened, that's why his cost is slightly lower. But when their cost is exactly the same, why not just slap a Valara in the arena from the get-go? Like, why even put him? But anyways, enough of that. Let's actually take a look at the rest of his skills. So basic attack, 120% physical damage to 5 enemies. You can see 2 tile range means you can slap him behind a tank and he's gonna work just fine. And then first passive, 12 seconds cooldown, deals 300% damage up to 5 enemy targets and knocks them back. And it's fixed, 12 seconds, there's no way to reduce it. There's some extra utility which people did ask for. And then last passive, when HP drops below 50%, gains 20% damage reduction and restores 5% HP each time he does damage. So some sort of survivability baked in there. And then arena damage increase, because it's an Arbiter, it's gonna get 1. Increases damage in the arena by 15%. And then his ultimate, Reptilian Revenge, 650 cost, 500 starting. deals 1000% damage up to 10 enemies ahead. So he has a lot of AoE in his kit, but my struggle with using him in an AoE team is that we already have Valara, so why do we need to use this guy? I mean, you could get the other units out faster, but then at what cost? Because eventually you'll wind up wasting a slot for one unit. That's why I know he's built around AoE, but the only use case that I found him for was actually single target, which we'll take a look at later. But let's take a look at Awakenings before we actually jump to the other bits. So A1, Shard of Deception stack increases by 2. So instead of 40% attribute boost, we get 60%. Then redeployment time decreases by 15 seconds. Very similar to a lot of the other Northerners. A2 is -2 cost reduction. We'll talk more about this later, about why I think A2 is important. Then A3, this is nice. Vulnerability of 20% for both physical and magic damage when he does his ultimate. And his ultimate cost is pretty low, so this has quite a good uptime. Then A4 is extra attack. A5, when triggered, the hero gains a shield equal to 50% of max HP, and the cooldown is for 60 seconds. Honestly though, I don't think this will come in handy at all because the first few waves of Arena typically don't hurt that much. By the time you had to use this, it will mean that something in your comp has gone very wrong. So that's Kane. I would think that if we look at cost generation specifically, A2 is the big one. A3 is the one for maximum damage output. We can actually take a look at him in one very specific arena, and that's going to be single target. Because right now, single target is being dominated by two set of units. That's Watcher teams with Kigiri and Wukong, which we showcase as well in another video with Erlis, the new healer. And then we also have Valderon and the Chaotic team, which we also showcase Citra in another one of those videos. So I think Kane is going to be the other one in the mix. Let's actually go ahead to take a look at him without further ado. So single target, this is the team we're running. You can see BP is fairly average. I think you can go higher. But I think the big thing here is that we have Kasil. Kasil's cost is pretty high. It's currently parked at 19. So I think to get him to actually come online without consequences, you need a cost generator. And yeah, just so happens that Kane and Kasil are actually both Arbiter Northerner. So you could also try to run this team with a Northerner team. But we're just going to go with Arbiters because we all know for sure that Arbiters are a better option. We do have him at A3. I think that A3 he just does a lot more damage, and I think that's what we need to actually get this running. And then we have Pope, Alexandra, and then we have Erlis as well. I think this is the best single target team that we could come up with. I wanted to use Constance initially, but her healing was way too low compared to Erlis. And bear in mind, Erlis has that double rich regen thing that we've covered in another video. So I think that's why this team works so much better. Alright, so that's the team. Let's actually go in and we'll showcase how it looks like. Alright, so here's the first thing I want to talk about. Realize this, cost of 10. In many other arenas, we don't start at a cost of, actually all arenas we start at a cost of 10. And that's why you kind of need Kane to be at A2, because only then he's at parity with Darlin and Siren in terms of starting cost, and that's the only way that he will actually get his extra cost back in time for the units to come online. Which I think is a bit too much, because Kane is an ancient exclusive, probably. His Arbiter, all Arbiters that have been released after Arbiter faction got released in the first place, they have been ancient exclusive, with the exception of units like Constance, Cerberus, Valeria, and Valkyra. The rest of the subsequent units have always been ancient exclusive. So for him to be viable only at A2, it is pretty disappointing in that sense. Alright, so you can see these stacks, or these Shadow Retributions. There's 6 stacks there. So we're gonna let him do his thing. There we go, we get that cost gen back. We need to wait for a bit here. Seal down. And let's do the lightning zaps. Boost his damage. And yeah, that's basically gonna be it. We could proc his ultimate actually for a better uptime. Okay, so now Kasil is up. We can go ahead to cast some stuff. Oops. There we go. That's basically one hitting stuff there. And now we put Lady Alexandra. Do the Mark of Amenity on the ultimate. And then that's basically gonna get things up for us. You can see it's not that fast, but bear in mind that it's pretty high BP. If Valorant teams go against this, I think they will struggle quite a bit, which is a good sign. Because at least it's gonna deter those teams, but it is very high requirement. You need a lot of units to make this work. And all this just for Kane to actually be somewhat useful. I think that's the struggle here. See if that is enough to kill off him. No, it's not. But yeah, the idea. Now we have team. Round 5. Let Kasil do his ultimate. And let's do this here. That's pretty good damage. That's like about 600k in terms of. But bear in mind that it diminishes. So I don't know. Maybe we start using it. There's 6 stacks, right? So you start using it from wave 3 of Arena onwards. Okay, now we're on to the tougher waves. Gonna have to wait for Kasil to do his ultimate. But the other guys get theirs back. There we go. Yeah. It's not much, to be honest. I think there's quite a bit of RNG as well with the Lady Alexandra procs. But we could definitely do a lot better timings. Kasil just casually one-shotting these guys, or rather 3 shots. Then we pop the Pope ultimate here. Alright, that's the ultimate there. There we go. I mean, timing can probably be fixed, but it is looking like something. Seems like it's doing a lot more damage now. Okay, that's done. Now we get for them to actually pop their ultimates. Last guy. Yeah, I think timings there were a bit bad. I should have popped the Pope ultimate a bit later. Yeah, let's pop the Alexandra here. Alright, so we're gonna finish things off here. There we go. It's not optimal. It's not like Watch Guards where we see the instant one shot from Kigiri and Wukong. But I think it's onto something. We could switch things around as well. We could have Ingrid instead of Lady Alexandra, for example. But it is a very high PP team and they are able to survive through the entire thing. But I think that a big part of that is also Earlis. Earlis is doing a lot of work here. But you can see damage-wise, Pope at the highest, Lady Alexandra, and then Kane also doing some decent damage as well, which we did not expect. So yeah, that's for single target. We can take a look at AOE Arena briefly as well. See how that looks. Need a 5 poke for that. And then let's find the Valara. Alright. Oh, this guy, and then yeah, that's the problem, right? Who do we put for the last guy? Because normally you put Del-Chan, but in this case, then it's sort of stuck in that sense. Yeah, let's try Del-Chan anyways and see how it works. Yeah, so you see start at 10 cost again, so you need Kane at a 0 at the bare minimum. So A2 at the bare minimum. And let's see if he actually one-shots this wave. We have that coming up in a bit. But you have Lara up now. Ah, okay, he actually one-shots. So that could be a use case. Okay, not gonna put anything there. There we go. Okay, now with Ingrid up as well. There we go. 3, 4, and it's gonna do the blast. There we go. And now we do Del-Chan. Switch. Ah, I forgot to use the lightning. I think we'll have killed that wave if we did the lightning. There we go. Problem is we don't have a healer. So let's see how this works. I think the nice thing about Kane here is that he has some knockback as well. So I think that comes in pretty handy. That we're finished, but I think the timings are a bit skewed. We might wind up dying here because Lara no longer has her ultimate. Okay, barely making it. And there you see the knockback from Kane. It's not ideal here. That's the problem right now. We're missing one healer to actually do some work. Lara has her ultimate, so this wave should be more or less settled. There we go. You can see the ultimate range is around here, so that's when we can cast the... There we go. But now things are gonna die probably. There we go. Yeah. I think that's the struggle there with Kane. If we use Kane, then we have to use a healer instead. And so if we use Kane, we can't use Diao-Chan, and we gotta use something like maybe an Earlis or something. But that's not ideal compared to something like Draylin in Watchguards. So yeah, I think that's the struggle, because without the Faction Lord, the cost regen decreases by 3, it's going to be down to 7, and it just impacts the whole run itself. So I think that's why I haven't managed to think of something that's strong for AoE. I mean, you can see that it's doing some work. Cost regen wise, it's bringing up the other units faster, but what's the cause of that? The cause of that is that we end up not having a healer to actually sustain the whole thing. So yeah, and see damage here. I mean, we could do it again on the Valara run, but let's be fair that in an auto without a healer, that's very risky business, especially when, you know, there's RNG involved with knockbacks and stuff. So yeah, that's Kane. This is one of the units where we really didn't know what to do with him. The devs, when they posted this hero, they said that he might be useful in Malruk Trials. But if you're familiar with Malruk Trials, you will know that cost regeneration is never an issue. We always have time to actually deploy each and every unit. So that's why there's that struggle there, but it is what it is. Let me know down in the comment section below if you feel that there's more testings that we can do with him, any other areas. Because for sure you're not going to use him in anti-air. I don't think he hits air. But let's actually do a test there before, you know, you get proven wrongly. But I really don't think the guy hits air. Otherwise, he could maybe be useful for that. Yeah, I figured it out. How can the guy with a big sword hit air? Okay. Yeah, that confirms things at least. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to test Kane in, or any potential areas that you think he can be useful. The thing about Kane is that he's not showing up on next week's banner yet, so he's probably gonna come in at a much different timeline. But I think the very annoying thing for me is that he needs A2 to be on the same parity with Darlin and Cyrene. And for Ancient exclusive, I think that's just a huge bummer. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.